So welcome back. Now we're going to take questions for Daniela's presentation, her case study. It's always wonderful to watch case studies and see that detail. And so we have questions. Liz, you have a question.
Yes, I have. Fascinating case study. One thing that struck me, I didn't notice any mention of the husband's wife in, I know this may seem trivial, but as a sociologist with one hat on, I'm actually a professional gardener these days, but I couldn't help noticing the absence of a woman, a key woman in the house as well, in the case study. It is not a criticism, it's an observation, and there may be reasons for that. So yeah, but I did enjoy your discussion of your case study. Quite fascinating. I'm moving into a new home shortly, so I'd like a Feng Shui consultant services actually, but I have quite a long association with Feng Shui, not as a consultant though. So anyhow, thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, the wife is the person who asked for the Feng Shui consultation. So all the objectives that we listed are the result of her point of view. So I consider that the fact also of going through the presentation in such a fast way was not giving opportunity to enter in some details, but actually all the consultation is structured around her. And I think that one of it's a strong complexity in such a family, but I think that one of her needs were to be completely autonomous from the second unit. So for instance, to not have to enter the second unit to make her work. And also, let's say, to give more a more strong role to Unit 1, to be stronger in comparison to Unit 2. And also there are some details. This woman left her career in order to work for her family, to stay home, while the father still is the breadwinner, exactly, the breadwinner of the family. So she is receding somehow. You are reading well, where somehow she is receding in a position of being more yin, being more passive, but also needing at that time to be able to gather. So I think she will be in this way of disappearing. She is really the heart of this new gathering place, where all the beautiful Nani is somehow present, can give her richness, but at the same point is also, let's say, it's also contained in her room.
I got the impression that grandma, and no disrespect to grandma either at all, was, how can you put, not exactly dominant, but there was a power imbalance there somehow. There's a possible cultural aspect to this. The family is partly Indian, is that right? Yeah. But,
yes, the grandmother and the son are both Indian, so yeah. They somehow the majority. And for instance, to move the father's home office in a way that this is closer to Unit 1, that is directly accessible from Unit 1, is also a way to change a model. I mean that the son is autonomous, doesn't have to pass along the mother's spaces to go in the space where he is adult. You know, he is adult and it has his own family. So I think this is also part of the fact, but are aspects that during the consultation for sure raise, and not always it's easy to enter in these relationships when we make a very fast communication. But thank you so much for going and and asking in this direction, because it's really part of the consultation. It's the most lovely part, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's
Thank
interesting
you.
that as a sociologist you spotted that, and it shows you how interdisciplinary Feng Shui is. There's so many things to consider, and it is interesting to have they are two matriarchs in a house where sparks didn't seem to be obviously flying, but patriarch, matriarch. Who's the matriarch? The older woman, the man's mother, and it's subtle, but I think the rearrangement of the mother's room further away from the heart of the home and the father in. These are very interesting and subtle dynamics. So it was great you flagged that up, Liz, and it was a great answer, Daniela. Thank you. I've got a couple more questions here. Carolyn is saying, my understanding is if the building has internal connection, it cannot be treated as two separate units. A true duplex share a wall with no interconnection, so I don't see how the case study is treated as a duplex. Interested in your explanation of this decision. I understand different entries and corner block. It is an unusual house, isn't it, Daniela? So yes, are you clear on that question?
Not really, because the question is about the typology of the duplex, if it's a duplex or not, or it's about if we consider it as 2 or 1 units according to, for instance, flying stars. I don't grasp exactly the point of the question.
Carolyn, where's Carolyn? Can't find Carolyn. Gallery, Carolyn. Where is Carolyn? Did you want to ask that question if we haven't? Carolyn, I cannot see Carolyn, so maybe she asked the question. Oh, there's Carolyn. Carolyn, do you want to ask the question? Do you want to amplify? Oh, yes. What do you? Yeah, Carolyn is saying, yes, why did you classify it as a duplex? It's a terminology question, not a flying star question.
Okay, so I define a duplex, house combined of 2 units, which are autonomous because they have independent entries, which also from a Feng Shui definition defines that it is 2 bodies, 2 different entities, but they are connected, interconnected by a transition space. So I consider this a duplex.
Very, very interesting, isn't it? It's a very interesting house. Thank you, Daniela. And Felicity, she says, how did you go about agreeing the objectives with all the family and your own assessment of the home and its use?
How do we agree the objectives of the consultation? That's it?
Yeah, Felicity, do we need to amplify that question? Is that okay? Are you clear, Daniela?
Yeah.
I'm going to add the spotlight. Felicity.
Hi, hello.
Hello. Did you want me to clarify the question?
Yes, just so that Daniela understands.
Well, I just thought as a Feng Shui environmental architectural practitioner, you might go into a situation where you can very quickly assess what the problems are and the solutions. And how do you navigate that with what the different family members are saying as to what they want you to do?
Okay, so for me, I understand behind this question that probably you are mentioning the fact that there are some needs and objectives which are explicit and are somehow people are conscious about the needs. Other aspects are more implicit. Let's say that are somehow needs and objectives of the project that we have to get with our intuition. So we always work in a way that our objectives are very concrete. Okay, but at the same time, we always know that behind a concrete demand, behind a concrete need, there is always another part which is hidden, that it's also part of the problem. And this is a kind of, we learn to listen in the sense that we don't only, it's always a yin and yang consideration. We always question the need, from another point of view, from the opposite one. By doing this, which is something that we, with our methodology, do somehow in a heart of thinking method, we somehow get more intuition about some connection and correlations that gives us information. And so at one point, it is about some concrete transformation, but everything talks about relationship. So if I can just add one point, I was thinking to this some minutes before. The two houses, the two units at the beginning were showing the shoulders to each other. They were not really communicating, and the transition space between was a space of periphery. We decided that it's like two persons that are shoulder to shoulders to turn, embrace, and also in this central point between the two to put the best of architectural solutions that you can have. So it means when you are in relation to somebody, it's not a periphery. This can be and become the heart of your life. So it means put relation in the center. To the fact that there is a daughter with autism problem in the family is also somehow connecting to probably a problem of communication and of sharing the different words and languages that are in play. So we created the space by, let's say, turning the two duplets, looking to each other and say, okay, the right limit, we accept the right boundaries, but what we share is the best.
Very good, very good. I mean, you're right, the subtlety is always needed. We don't come in, these are our rules, this is our practice. It is bringing information, the wisdom that we have from wherever we're bringing it, and then, as you say, listening and being subtle. Subtlety is always important.
Sí.
And you pointed out about the relationship being key. I'm going to bring up two more questions. And
thank you so much.
Lovely, thanks for asking that, Felicity. Ron, first question: did the renovation get done? When I first saw the family, I first saw an I Ching hexagram number 7, the army.
The army. Okay, so I mean, this is a case study that we received from a practitioner, a professional practitioner that participated in the course. So we were not directly involved with the family. But when I was looking again with Google Earth on the house, I saw that some changes occurred. Okay, some of them occur, I mean, I cannot see inside, but what I see is that they applied the landscaping project of building a stronger boundary around the house, and they made some modification to the roof because it changed color, and they also used some photovoltaic energies. They integrated photovoltaic energies. I did not see that they created the sky well. Or the sky window that we suggested.
That was a brilliant suggestion.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened inside, but we always have to accept that we did not have a direct role in this consultation.
Lovely, thanks, Daniela. One last question, Stella. If I may ask, was there any point in your mentioned project where you did not know exactly how to deal with a certain part of the house, or any challenge, and how do you proceed in such a situation? Well, we know that it was one of your team that did this, so you weren't there. So that question is really not necessarily project specific, because you weren't there, so you don't know how to, I don't think you know how to answer that exactly, except how does one proceed in such a situation where you're not sure what to do with a certain part of the house?
Okay, we never know what to do. Okay, we never know what to do at the beginning. One part of the brilliant experience with Howard is that he was the one that at one point came with the strong solution. So this was one of the first projects that we did with him, and I was always, like, how can he know so well? I mean, it's so clear, I know, but I need more time. I'm not so clear. And he was really a genius from this point of view. And one of the aspects that I mostly noticed in this project is that the family didn't ask to relocate the father's home office. This was an idea of Howard, because he there interpreted a need. And if you look at it, it's genius, because he's putting the home office of the father closer to Unit 2, which means it's a space, it's part of this space of transition, of this space of relation. Also, there is more proximity and with a direct connection from Unit 2. I think he simply thought about this guy living with 5 women and said, yeah, for sure. Imagine he's free to get in his home office, to go from one unit to other as he wants without being seen, completely, on his own, next to the main entry. So if you want, he can also go for a coffee and nobody sees him. He was for Howard, it was clear to give more autonomy, more strength, and more value to this breadwinner. Also more freedom and dignity and strengths. This was very clear for him, and I didn't think about it anyway. So, and they did not ask for it, but it is a brilliant solution.
Absolutely, the need to be unobserved.
Yeah.
It's a big need. That's brilliant. That's a great answer. Well, we're now at 28 minutes past the hour. Daniela, thank you so much. And I also, apart from what a great presentation, commend you. Like our other speakers, English is not necessarily your first native language, and you've done a brilliant job at articulating all the nuances here. So a thank you from me and for everybody for, taking this on in English.
Thank you so much.
And thanks also for a great program that the Feng Shui Society Executive Committee have put together. Veronica particularly, and Victoria and Alex particularly are here and have done a great job in putting this together. So thank you for that. As we're now 29 minutes past the hour, I think if everybody agrees with me, I'm going to put it on pause recording. Welcome back, and welcome to our second session today, our afternoon session. And we have with us today from Ireland, and Amanda, Sophia, I didn't ask you where you're coming to us from in Ireland. Where are you from in Ireland?
Wexford, southeast, yeah.
Been there, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Looks a little bit like your picture behind, I think.
That's the healthy home behind me with all that green. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So, excuse me. So this afternoon, Amanda Sophia is going to be talking about tradition meets intuition, soul of the home. And we've had a very interesting last presentation on classical feng shui and the lower and the compass. Very interesting. It was fascinating with Master Edgar. And we had a lovely look at using all forms of feng shui, looking at a case study in Los Angeles. So that was interesting. So we're going to hear now about the soul of the home and this aspect of bringing intuition in. And Amanda Sophia, if I introduce her, she's a multidimensional channel, a feng shui expert, land healer, and Celtic and New Earth priestess. Founder of the International Feng Shui School, empowering individuals in the transformation of their homes. And so this is where this intuition part comes in, where people can actually have a co-ownership in the change with the help of people who can guide them. And that's what Amanda Sophia is going to talk about now. So we welcome you, give you the floor Off you go.
Thank you so much, Gina. I'm so happy and honored and grateful to be with this beautiful community today. So thank you so much for having me. And because everyone's just, replenish their body with food, and just when we come back, I'd love to just take a little moment to kind of center and just bring us all into our hearts. So I'm just going to invite you to take a moment to bring the soles of your feet down to the floor and just uncross anything you might have crossed. And I'm just going to invite you to gently close your eyes and just bring your awareness from your external landscape to your internal. And maybe just floating your hands over your heart. And I invite you to take a nice, big, deep breath. And as you inhale, just draw the energy up from the earth, from the land, from Gaia, Eru. So just inhaling and drawing that breath all the way up to the crown of your head and just holding your breath for a moment, holding, and then just exhale out your mouth. With a nice sigh, just releasing so you can just be really present. And inviting yourself here physically, yes, on all levels, emotionally, energetically, mentally, right? And just to be really present. Bring your awareness to your heart, and from your heart, we're just going to send this beautiful cord, this golden cord from our heart, right down into the heart of, as we call her in Ireland, Eru, the goddess of the land. And just feeling your heart and her heart become one, where the heartbeat becomes one. And that centering and grounding and rootedness that happens when we have that connection to the land, to the earth, which is our birthright. So just feeling into that for a moment, and then bring your energy back up to your heart. And from your heart, just connecting straight up with your source of origin, your soul, your star source. Just feeling that connection straight up. And then we're just going to evoke this beautiful golden light. The beautiful golden light. And just feel this beautiful iridescent light flowing down through and around, just pure divine energy. And just feel that beautiful flow of energy as the energy of the earth. You can feel that warmth and nourishment of the earth and this beautiful light and that connection to your soul, to your body, to the land, and just feel that beautiful weaving. As because we are that connectors, right? Between heaven and earth. So with your hands on your heart, just taking another beautiful, big, deep inhale into your heart. And exhaling out your mouth. Notice what it feels like to have the soles of your feet touching the floor, your lower back touching the chair, just feeling those beautiful anchor points. Beautiful. And then whenever you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. And I do believe that most of us here, I think everyone, I'm not sure, but is on the Northern Hemisphere. So we really are moving into this time of Samhain, right? Really moving into the darker time of the year and that descent, right? And it's such a beautiful time in our homes to kind of, Gina was saying she had a radiator on and I got mine on right next to me here. So I think a huge part of Feng Shui is feeling really nourished and nurtured in our homes, right? So I'm going to share screen here. I've got a PowerPoint I'd love to share. So I'm thinking everybody can see the PowerPoint, right? Okay, wonderful. Okay, I'll get started. So thank you, Gina, for the introduction. Just a brief little introduction. I do lead retreats around Ireland, and I will have a spiritual journey in May. So just a little announcement there. And just sharing about the founder of the International Feng Shui School, the Feng Shui Master Certification that I offer. So that's a little bit about the retreat. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I do all sorts of wonderful offerings. I have a Feng Shui podcast and blogs and all sorts of wonderful things I share every week on my newsletter. So that's just a little bit I wanted to share. And I really loved this topic today. And I think, I mean, we can go so deep. I mean, the beauty of Feng Shui is it is a lifetime practice, a lifetime learning. And we're all students of Feng Shui, right? Even if we are teaching, we're all students of Feng Shui. And I learn every day. My home teaches me, my clients, my students, everybody. I'm always learning and moving more deeply into it. And as we know, and you know, that our home is really this mirror. And I remember one time it really struck me over a decade when somebody said to me, like that drawer that we have or that corner of the room, you know, that's a bit cluttered, really represents like our lowest level of consciousness within ourselves. So our home does this beautiful, beautiful job of always mirroring back to us what we can do to heal, to transform, to raise our own frequency, right? So just to really start with, I really love to take a really holistic approach, body, mind, spirit, soul, environment process. In Feng Shui, the soul of the home refers to the energetic heart and essence of a living space, the center where the life force chi gathers, circulates, and expresses itself. So just as a person has a body and a soul, a home carries both physical structure and invisible energy that influence how the occupants feel, heal, and thrive. And I do believe we all teach this through our teachings of Feng Shui, and it's really the different ways that we, oops, sorry. Oh, okay, there we go. The different ways that we express it. So the soul of the home is the meeting point where the physical space and the spiritual presence, it's where the invisible currents of life force gather. And when cared for, it becomes a sanctuary that nourishes our body, mind, and spirit, right? So on all levels, it's always nourishing. I mean, we spend up to 80% of our time inside, right? So imagine, we know, right, as Feng Shui lovers and professionals, that when we're in a space that's out of alignment, how that really does affect all those parts, our mind. It's so busy, right? If it's cluttered, our emotional body, our energetic body, you know, our spiritual journey. And I always say to people, just because we feng shui our lives, our homes, it doesn't mean everything's perfect in our life. No, that's not true, right? Part of the human experience is all the different ranges of emotions and experience that we have. So I like to really look at it from this conscious living through feng shui. So our space reflects our inner world and can teach us how to elevate its energy, which I'll speak more to. So just as we're aware, we become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and patterns, right? We can apply this consciousness to our home. Feng shui allows us to really see our home as the microcosm of the macrocosm. It's like a mirror of the external world. And then the state of our home reveals much about our lives. And by shifting it, we can really align in such a higher way. And then we can create a home that inspires, uplifts, and encourages us into really our highest potential, right? So the heart of the home, the Tai Chi is the energetic heart of the home. So just like the human heart, it radiates chi to every single corner. So when balanced, it nourishes harmony, vitality, and peace throughout the space. A really cluttered or blocked entrance closes the door on possibility and flow. So connecting with the soul of your home. So to connect with our home's soul is to remember it mirrors our own. When you tend to it with respect and gratitude, you really awaken its sacred essence, right? Because really, at the end of the day, all of us want to be seen and heard and witnessed and loved and appreciated. Like that's what makes us all shine and thrive. So that's really what our home wants as well, right? It's not just this shell, it is this incredibly beautiful space that nourishes our physical body, our temple, our soul, our spirit, our families through hard times, through happy times. So we really can connect with the energy of our soul through really being present with it and allowing the light to flow through the space, clear, like allowing us to be able to breathe, right, with our home being as expansive and decluttered as possible. Honoring the corners with beauty and intention, right? So creating beauty in our home, that's what inspires us, right? In doing so, we create a sanctuary that really, really holds us and grounds us and restores us. So that's what I say. It doesn't fix everything in our lives, but when we are going through hard times, right? It's like our home is giving us this hug, this embrace. So even in the hard times, it makes things better. Yeah, we really look at those three chi, right? The destiny chi that we come in with, right? So that's what we're the soul agreements before we get here, right? Then there's the earthly chi and the human chi, right? So that destiny chi, like there is soul agreements, even though in this lifetime we're like, did I really sign up for that? But we did. So when we have these experiences and we're in a home that nourishes us, it just makes it that much easier. And of course, the human chi is so affected by our environment. If there's clutter, if there's poison arrows, if the energies are out of alignment, and then environmental chi, well, it's all about that. So we can really see how powerful it does affect us in our day-to-day lives. So the energetic alignment in our homes, we're drawing to our homes through energetic alignment. The frequencies we embody and emit resonate with the vibrations of the home and the land it rests upon. This alignment is not random, it's a sacred meeting of energy and intention. The home chooses us as much as we choose the home. So we've all been looking to purchase a home or to rent a home, and we go in and out of all these different spaces. No, 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 no. And then there's just one home that we walk into, and it may not be very much different than other homes that we've walked into. And we're like, this is it. This is the one. And we can just see this is where the sofa will go, this is where the bed will go. Even before we, as a consultant, run all the numbers and everything, there's just this deep resonance. There's just this deep knowing that we are home, right? And so a lot of the time, like I've said, there's this energetic frequency, but the energies that we hold match that energy of the home and of the land, depending on what the land has been. If the land has been through trauma and somebody's holding a lot of trauma, if there's been a number of divorces in a home and it might attract a couple that are not doing well, that are maybe in the direction to that, right? And we even know with the flying stars, right? And now, of course, the two from the flying stars has gone into a more timely cycle. But we know that when it was in the untimely and it was a sickness star, that the two was really in the center of a lot of doctors' offices and at the front door, or the 3 and the 7, right? Lawsuits. And we find that those numbers are predominant in an attorney, a lawyer's office, right? So we're really called, just like when we meet a person, right? A beloved, a partner, a beloved that we end up like we call it soulmate, right? Because there's a soul resonance, a connection. And Eckhart Tolle, if you're familiar with his work, he talks about pain bodies, right? So when we meet somebody and there's just this alignment, there's this remembrance, there's this feeling like we know them, right? There is an energetic match. And sometimes it's energetic match of pain that you've been through, or lower frequencies or higher frequencies, right? So the power of classical feng shui. Classical feng shui is profound and it is transformative. I'm practicing it 25 years. And I will say that it still blows my mind. Like, I'm still like, oh my gosh, like you run a chart and you look at the energetic blueprint, and let's say somebody's been living in the home a few years, and it's like, there's their whole lives on this chart, like it's been playing out. And so classical feng shui is so, so powerful. It reveals the energetic blueprint of the home, showing where qi moves, gathers, and expresses itself. Through this wisdom, we can evolve the energies of the environment and turn it and transform our lives and home, right? So I know I'm not saying anything new here. I know we all know this. So, but it really invites us to sit with, why was I called to this home and these unique energies? Like, what was it that drew me to going, this is the home, this is the land, right? What within me is ready to evolve in this space? And which energies am I here to transform? So the thing is we move into these spaces, right? And it's like there's a soul contract already in place that we will heal the home in some way. We will heal the land in some way. And in return, it will help heal us and evolve our soul. And there will be this kind of exchange of transformation, right? So if we come into a home and we love it and we create beauty and we plant the garden and we're present with it, and it will do the same for us. So every home has a soul, a living presence that responds to love and attention, just like we do. Our home thrives when it feels seen and witnessed. When we place our hands on the walls and offer gratitude, the home receives it. It's just like the exhale of a breath. So we want to ask ourselves, is my home reflecting my highest potential? And does it support the raising of my consciousness, of my evolution, of my soul, of my healing? And are we doing that with the home as well? So the energy and the soul of the land through my also 20 odd years of land healing and geomancy, but really just that incredibly beautiful connection to the land. I've always had it. I spent my entire childhood on horseback, galloping up through the forest, up to the mountains, in the stone circles, in the fairy glens. Like that was my solace, that was my sanctuary, right? And I actually barely wanted to sleep inside the house. I'd be quite happy in the stables with the horses. So that connection, that resonance to the land runs so deep. And it's vital that we connect with the energy of the land before working on the feng shui, right? This is really important because if there's been trauma, right? I mean, the land that I live in here, I've got a sacred mountain across the road, a forest here, I've got a sacred well. However, this mountain, this beautiful sacred mountain that's across the road, there's an entire famine wall built like for miles up this mountain, right? So that energy and that trauma in the land, like these people were starving to death and probably died going up that mountain, creating a wall that I don't really even really see a purpose that it serves. But so when we're talking about the land carrying trauma, this is what I talk about. Or if there has been major work like digging, it can cause trauma in the land there as well and create lines of energy. So the land itself is at peace with these natural energies. It's just when we build houses upon it, right? So when there's things like geopathic stress, there's dragon lines, and there's all these different lines of energy, which are actually very powerful. Even the sacred sites are built on ley lines, right? But living on them is a whole different thing. Our bodies, our nervous systems are not made to be living on land with that high a frequency. So the soul of the land must be honored and acknowledged and healed for the home's energy to really, really thrive. Our homes are living, breathing reflections of who we are. They mirror back our emotions when we feel broken or stuck or lost. The home begins to echo it back to us. Or sometimes it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Appliances start to break, clutter starts to pile up, and space quietly reflects the heaviness that we carry inside. So just some really simple things that I even see in my own home, right? When we feel burnt out, the light bulbs seem to get burnt out. When we feel out of control, the door handles like are loose. Our homes quietly mirror the state of energy, right? So boundaries, like it's a huge part of our evolution of our soul, of self-love, self-worth, valuing, right? And so having healthy boundaries is a big part of that. So when I say boundaries, I'm talking about being able to say no to things, not overextending, people pleasing, right? And we need to have them physically with people in our lives. I really find I need to have them with my guides because I'm like, working today, not today, But to really reflect that, we need to have that in our homes too. So proper fencing. So maybe everybody that goes by our house, the dogs aren't going in the lawn. We can have a beautiful, welcoming, inviting home, but we need to honor our boundaries, like a front door in really good working order, like a gate that people must come through. So it's like everything that we consciously create or unconsciously, subconsciously create is reflecting something symbolic. But when we consciously go, okay, I'm fixing the doorbell, I'm getting a new front door, or just making sure this front door stops sticking and the key works well, and I've got a gate, we are really, and I say this, I say with every single thing we do with Feng Shui, we want to do it with intention. We want to open up sacred space, and we want to be kind of clear in our intention of why we're doing something, right? So healthy boundaries in our soul work, it's vital. Boundaries in our work, boundaries with our guides, boundaries in our relationships, physical boundaries, energetic boundaries, right? And it's like boundaries are always shifting in relationships too. Relationships, our love relationships, our friendship, just all sorts, because life changes and shifts. So we want to evolve with that too. And that's such an important part of Feng Shui, moving with the energy flow, the flow of the water in the space, the flow of, and I think this really brings me to a part I'd like to speak of, like, we are not linear. Time, Feng Shui is not linear. It's everything. It's so cyclical, right? So it's important that we are fluid. So Feng Shui is an ancient art, a sacred dance between humans and the environment, rooted in nature's rhythms, wind and water, earth and sky. Once used to align villages with mountains, rivers, and seasons, today Feng Shui continues to evolve, right? And it's so important that we evolve with it too, right? So adapting to people living in skyscrapers, the digital world and the model living, while keeping its eternal spirit alive. So this is so important. And of course, the truth of what it is, and to bring that ancient wisdom forward, but to also be fluid in that. So the soul of the Feng Shui remains unchanged. So it's about belonging, right? Feng Shui is about harmony and this deep remembrance that our spaces shape who we're becoming. To evolve Feng Shui is to really harness the wisdom of it, translating ancient principles into the modern day living, and honoring the tradition while creating spaces that reflect our world today. So what happens to tradition? Feng Shui today is not about abandoning tradition. It's about reframing it as a living dialogue between past wisdom and present need. It's less about superstition and more about creating environments where people can truly thrive. So as consultants in Feng Shui and geomancy and holistic spiritual practices, it's essential that we walk our talk, right? Doing that heart work, that inner healing and self-reflection required to embody what we teach. And only through this alignment can we show up fully present, connected, and anchored in our higher hearts, in service to our clients, ourselves, and the divine, right? I love a story that Alex Stark, that I teach my geomancy training. He always talks about with Professor Lin Yu, who he trained with, who's now since passed. But he used to always say, like, and I embody this, and I do my absolute like highest to work with this. But it is the energy that we step into the home. It is the presence that we come in with that creates the shift, right? And in order for us to hold an aligned frequency, a higher frequency, a higher heart frequency, a frequency of the fifth dimension, we have to have our practices, right? To really be present with our clients. So it's doing the inner work. So committing to self-reflection and personal growth, balance to maintain a healthy, harmonious balance in our lives, and consciousness. So we incorporate consciousness, mindfulness into our daily lives. And really my soul work is part of, where we're moving to this more conscious way of being, right? So the 3D level of consciousness is really rooted in separation and limited perception and fear, and there isn't enough, right? And you're there and I'm there, right? This materialism. However, and I really feel that Feng Shui is such a huge facilitator of that gateway of the fourth dimension, right? That, wow, people start to realize that there's more than that they can see and touch and hear, right? It's like, wow, maybe there is something beyond that. Maybe there is a higher power. Maybe, we aren't all separate. Maybe we are connected. And so it's that fourth dimension where that healing happens and that awakening happens and transcends us into that fifth dimension where we remember who we are and why we're here, that we are all divine beings having this human experience, that we unity consciousness, that we're all connected, and we are all connected through knowing that. There's a trust, there's a heart center, there's a collaboration. It's a whole new paradigm and level of presence. And when we live from that place, it is so much easier to stay centered in our own energy while doing this beautiful soul work, right? So when we can stay completely in our own center, we can show up for a client being deeply rooted and connected with the land in our own physical body, really embodied in that. We can connect with the energy and the soul of the home, right? While staying present with our clients, while connecting to the upper realms for the guidance that comes through, for the wisdom that comes through. So it's this beautiful process of the more connected we are above and below, the more a vessel we are that we can co-create, and we can really support our clients to the highest and best possible, right? A conscious leader brings presence and intention to every part of their lives. So am I being authentic? Am I speaking and acting from truth? And is this rooted in love? So I just want to do a little check-in because I notice I'm at 1:30, and so I don't know if I need to take questions for the last 10 minutes or should I keep going?
I think, Amanda, finish at 22. We'll have more presentations. Then I think we'll group the questions.
Perfect. Okay.
10 more minutes to go through your material.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. So one thing that I've really worked on that I think is really important, because I did, first of all, my studies in China 25 years ago with Feng Shui masters over there, and I did find it quite rigid. And I did find that the languaging used was very disempowering and very linear. So true Feng Shui is about creating divine flow within our homes. And when we use harsh or fearful language, we disempower people in their own sacred spaces, right? Empowering homes create empowering lives. So, to give examples, right, there is, I think there was a saying that I've heard a couple of my students say, like, oh, the Feng Shui is coming, you might as well start packing. The Feng Shui consultant's coming, right? And it's like, oh, really? Is that the perception that, they're like leaving people feel that there's something wrong with their homes, right? I mean, we live and breathe, sleep, live with our families in our homes, right? And then to have somebody come and say, oh, this is bad for people, this is bad for money, this is bad for relationships, this is bad for health. Like, we may have a deep understanding of what that means, but for somebody that just can be really scary, right? For example, I've really wanted to shift and change while still honoring the potency of these energies. But for example, like the 5-star, the Wu Wang, right? It's known as the Death Star, right? And so for somebody who's just like, oh, I heard of Feng Shui, I heard it was really beautiful, really powerful. And then somebody comes over to their home and be like, well, your bedroom has the Death Star, it creates illness and accident. And all of a sudden, this person that is loving their home, all of a sudden is like, oh my gosh, like feeling bad about, feeling bad about the energy in their space, right? So this really is an invitation in the wording, the verbiage that we use, how we express it, the awareness, while we still are being completely authentic and of integrity in our work. So I've renamed the 5 stars like the adversity star, right? It's an energy to work with, not to fear. And like power is knowledge, right? So as we learn about in our space, we can transform, like energy cannot be destroyed. We know that, but it can be transformed and evolved or neutralized or activated, whatever is needed. So reading about it online or hearing about it in a consultation can sometimes be alarming, but this does not mean misfortune will occur. And we know that. Sure, we've all got these energies in our homes, right? It simply indicates that there's a particular energy present, one that invites awareness, not fear. So as practitioners, we owe it to this ancient and sacred art to evolve how we speak about these energies, to move from like fear to consciousness, and from superstition to really empowerment. So really evolving the language of Feng Shui. So over the years, I've really worked with wanting to be more mindful about that. Like I'm always learning, involving pre-kids. Like I used to, my son is now 13, my daughter is 10. I used to go into people's homes that had children. I'd be like, oh my gosh, all these toys have to go. Oh my gosh, this is cluttered. And then to have my own children, I realized, well, that wasn't exactly fair what I was asking of clients, having an understanding. Like, so it's really about, we're ever evolving in this work as we grow and evolve, as we understand more and we go through more life's experiences, and there's more compassion and more consciousness. And it's really about, we're called, right, to work with a client, right? We're called to work with people. We're called, there's an energetic exchange, there's a soul agreement in place. And when we understand that actually what we're doing is our soul and their soul are coming together, right? Because there's hundreds of consultants people could call, but they call you because there's an energetic frequent match. There's a soul agreement there, right? And so when you step in, you are kind of into that space, honoring the soul of the client and everybody that lives in that house, the energy, the frequency of that home, the soul of the land. So there's so many layers that are coming into play. So we really want to evolve how we speak about it and how we explain it to our clients. And things are always evolving, Feng Shui language from metaphors of the stars, the elements of the trigrams, which of course for us that are studied in it, we understand that. But really the wood is a renewal, the fire is, the passion, the stability for the earth, the transformation of the metal, the flow of the water, and explaining it in a language that really people understand. So Feng Shui evolves when we shift it from you must to you may. And I think, I'm always speaking how if we're making recommendations for a client and invitations for remedies and go in and solutions, and I usually have a plan A, B, C, D, because it's really about empowering them in their space and them creating what feels good and that they connect with, right? So for me personally, I don't tend to use a lot of the, dragons and frogs and cats and stuff like that, because I don't resonate with it. And so I like to work more with the natural elements like plants and art that uplifts the space. Obviously, working with the 5 elements, but things like natural light and mindful use of technology that supports peace, right? So it's not about the objective, it's about the energy and the intention behind it. So Feng Shui is about empowering, not instilling fear, right? We spend so much of our time. The guidance, we want to uplift people. We don't want to criticize the home. We do want to be authentic, right? In our suggestions. And of course, they've hired us for us to share what is going on in their home. So if they're having a hardship and stuff is going on and we find out, right, the home is not supportive for health, or it's in a lock for people, or it's all of the above. Yes, but it's like how we deliver it and how we give that information, those invitations for what they can do to empower them. Like, hey, okay, so we can see what's happening here. Now, by adding water in a specific direction, we can really activate the money flow again, or, whatever the remedy would be. So at its core, Feng Shui is about harmony and flow. It connects human life with the greater rhythm of nature. When practiced with compassion and adaptability, it becomes a path to balance within our environments, inspiration in our daily life, and belonging in both home and spirit. Feng Shui aligns with findings from psychology and neuroscience. Our environments shape our mood, our focus, and our health. We also know this. Thoughtfully designed spaces support well-being and performance. And bridging time-tested Feng Shui principles with scientific insights makes it both practical and credible. So traditional Feng Shui aligns homes and cities with mountains, rivers of China. Modern Feng Shui can align us with the planet itself, the rhythms of nature, ecological harmony, and sustainable living. So bringing it more into, of course, Feng Shui originated in China, but really, if we look, it's been practiced in its own form all throughout the world. Vastu in India, and here in Ireland we have our own Celtic traditions, Druid traditions, pagan traditions. So it's really honoring the journey of that person's soul and their home and what is in most alignment there. The old language can feel rigid, tied to a dynastic power, right? A modern approach can translate symbols into cross-cultural metaphors. The dragon power can become a life force, the phoenix renewal, transformation, and the yin yang is expressed through the balance or the wholeness. So traditional feng shui focus on the emperor's palaces and the elite. Modern feng shui is accessible to everyone, whether in a mansion, a city apartment, or a shared home. Feng shui is all about empowering all spaces, not just the privileged. It's honoring the elements and cycles, blending softness and structure, like really weaving the yin and yang, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, right? The sun and the moon, the being and the doing, the fluidity and the structure. And we align with the stars and the earth. And, I'm always coming back to, when we look at, we had water for this and we had fire for this, but actually when we're out in nature, we just look to that and it's happening all around us. It's an invitation all around us. So feng shui originates from the divine union. Yet much of the tradition narrative emphasizes feng shui gods and masters figured who are predominantly male. In reality, women are the ones shaping and nurturing the home, and the majority of, well, for me personally, I seem to really attract mainly 99% female in the space, but we're all here to do this work, and we're all here to bring this beautiful, ancient, sacred gift of feng shui into the world, in the beautiful way that we express it.
Amanda, are you okay to take 2 minutes to wrap up?
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, absolutely. So I am going to share this PowerPoint, and one thing that I'd love to just say is I'd love to invite everyone to have a little peek through the rest of it, because one of the things that you will find throughout the rest of the PowerPoint are all the different feng shui goddesses. So we know about all the feng shui gods, but I would love to share, so this PowerPoint will be shared so you can meet all the feng shui goddesses. So there's one of every direction in the home. So you can have a little look through that. And I just want to say it was wonderful, so wonderful being here with you all. And thank you for having me. And RD, it's lovely to see you there. Hi, how are you? It's been a long time since I've seen you in person, like 20 years almost, I think, in New Jersey.
Oh my gosh, so long ago. Thank you. That was a beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
You, Amanda, and thank you for sharing. Because it's hard to email a presentation, it uses some space. Have you got it online somewhere, and then we can share the link?
That's a great idea. I will absolutely do that. That's a wonderful
Share
idea.
the link, and then we'll be issuing the recordings for this. So that's great. There's a lot of great information there, and that was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye. Thank you.
That's great. Right. I'm just going to spotlight our next speaker. That's lovely. Monica Di Cristina.
Hi, Gina.
Hello. Oh, wow. Look at that hair. Almost good. You should be wearing my jacket, really. Color. That's it.
Yes.
Flexibility of modern feng shui and color. Right. Okay, let me introduce it. Monica Di Cristina Oxley. Monica is not new to feng shui, but she's a new member of the Feng Shui Society, our professional register. So welcome to you, and it's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us today. And your background is as an organizer, interior design, art and design degree, and this blending of this ancient wisdom that you've discovered in Feng Shui with a grounded practical approach of design. And your topic that you've chosen is the challenges of the Feng Shui in a 1970s home. So this sounds very interesting. So off you go, and you've got 20 minutes, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll share now. I'm gonna share. Oh, can you see my screen? Or you can still see me, probably.
Yeah, we can still see you. Not yet.
Is it the keynote? Maybe it is. Let's see.
If you find it on your own screen, then you press on that.
Yes. Oh, sorry, it's taking me to the screen system. I don't know why. Sorry, I'm very new at this. I should have practiced before.
Okay. So have you got it open on your own computer?
Yes. Yes.
So when you do share screen,
yes,
all those options, and then just click on the one that has your presentation.
So keynote, for example, and then I do share.
Share first.
Allow Zoom workshop to share your screen. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's taking me to the. Ah, yes. Sorry, got it. I think I got it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
because the share button on your screen has been lit because you've been made a co-host, I believe. Is that right? Victoria?
Yeah, should be
yes.
co-host.
Can you see it?
Oh, lovely. We've got it. We got it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, there you are. Okay. So yeah, it was lovely to listen to Amanda. Like I loved all of it. And I think that what I'm gonna present now is kind of a continuation to that because it's a practical project following, what Amanda was saying. And so I'm gonna share my own project on this house that we bought 2 years ago. And we've been renting for like 8 years in England. And I moved many countries, I changed many houses. And yeah, I don't think I'm still a settler. So I think this is going to carry on. But every house I've been, I always try to put the emphasis on who is living in the house. So for me, the client is the main focus. And as I say, in my life experience, I always wanted to be on the same level with the client to understand exactly, what's the need. And in this case, it was, my need and my family need that I wanted to put in front. So I wanted to work on, to share with you like this emotional design, which, I think that everyone feels when they get into a property and they have feelings, they have emotion about the space. For me, this particular property felt very familiar because, as I say, I grew up in different countries and mainly in like warmer countries. So what I experienced was one certain type of structure, like open space, big windows. So when I came to England in 2010, it was a bit a shock to the system because it was like really having to accept the structures that were presented to me. So, for example, this is the property. As you can see, it's a very unusual structure. And it's like a little road pocket with like similar houses to this, but they're all different. Whoever comes, they feel like this is more Scandinavian because have a lot of bricks, a lot of wood. But for me, and this was like the third house that I saw when we were looking for places. And as Amanda was saying, like the moment, I got in the house, I just felt me and the house were just kind of, talking to each other. And as I said, felt familiar mainly because of the windows, because they were like big and like everywhere. So there was just light coming in from everywhere and open space. So the picture here on the left is taken from the front door. So this is what you see when you first come in. So it's like completely open space. Again, windows everywhere. We have like this window here on the ceiling. And then as you can see, the ceiling also is very particular. It's like wood. As I said, just the feeling of going in and having this open space for me was took me back to when I grew up with my family. We had, a happy environment. It was all about sharing the space together. So this year really evoked emotions in me. The picture on the right is like once you come up of the step, and this is like the living room. So again, it's like a complete, open space. You can see here like big windows, door windows, another window on the high side of the wall. And then you have this ceiling that is like literally very particular on an angle, and then wood. This is other two pictures that I took when we first bought, so it was like empty. And so then when I got in, I kind of realized that there was a lot of light in the house. And I kind of thought, the first thing I thought was like the direction. So, positioning myself where is north, south. But I noticed that it kind of didn't make much difference. So as I said, because there was always light, the amount of light felt that it was always the same. So in a way, I kind of stopped and told myself, I'm just going to wait until I do something or any calculation. I just wanted to feel the house. I thought that, the house was really had its own character and it could communicate with me. So we had to do like major structure renovation. So we had to change windows, door, front door, floors, all sorts. So this is why I also took my time to do, any calculation or any decoration. So even now you're gonna see this is not a finished project. We are still, working on it. I try to take, more pictures as possible, more neat pictures as possible, so you could follow me. So just to give you an idea of how the house is positioned, the front door is just here where the red arrow is. So again, I did a quick, observation of the outside of the house and, considering also the bazaar and the directions. And to me, it all felt that it was settled. I kind of liked every corner of this house. And even though it was also tricky to kind of feel where the front or the back of the house was, because it could be literally from any side of the house. So as I said, like I didn't want to rush to do any calculation. And I think that is also part of our work, not to just settle on calculation and things that we learn and enlightenments and this and that. It was more, I just want to take my time and feel the space and feel also what I feel in the space without, having limitation on what I can do in this space. So only recently I decided to do the calculations, and because I'm a big fan of flying stars, I just, did them now. I don't know if you can see, have you got the writing on top? Can you see the notes that I took on the left? You can see that's built in 1975.
Yeah, you can see the type,
okay.
all lines of type and the red N1. So yes, we can see that.
Okay. And so those are the notes that I took. So it's built in 1975, it's facing north. Took period 6 and it's a south house. And this was literally just to give me an idea of what I'm working with. As you can see from the floor plan is like, again, windows everywhere, open space. I didn't want to, limit myself on the datas that I had. My thing was, which star to kind of take in consideration for the open space in the living room. And I did kind of a few different ones, and it felt like all of them were quite balanced. So I keep repeating myself, but it was just, the house was just talking, and it felt like everything was fine. We didn't know about the previous owners, but the feeling was just positive. I was okay with anything in this property. So this is the picture on the left, is the picture of that open space where the kitchen is. And after that, I decided that probably the stars that I'm gonna use from the flying star, it's gonna be the number 7. So this is the flying star chart already rotated according to the property. So not to confuse you. I just put the numbers there after I rotated. So then, considering these stars, just because, the 7 was what I needed to know about the open space. The other 5 and the 9 I considered because I keep in consideration, the water star and the mountain stars. And because, as I said, this is still an ongoing project, I didn't fix myself on, any colors or how to decorate the place. And more we've been living in it, I notice how my kids react to the house. I notice how my husband reacts to the house. And then me, at the end, as a designer, I just decided to make like little touches here and there. So this is the before and after, just to give you an idea. For example, before all the walls were white, but then noticing the movement of the light in the house, I just fall in love with that. And as I said, I just didn't put any curtains. I removed the old curtains from all the house and I didn't replace them with anything. Just for me, having open space, it was just my thing. So then with this type of color on the wall, which is like a very light pink, it's just stunning to see, the light coming in the morning and then in the evening becomes warmer. So also the pink suddenly becomes a bit warmer. And that is what I think this place needed. A bit more of warmth, but still a very like minimal design. Because as I said, the space, it's enough as it is. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to put any decoration or furniture. So this is the state of the living room now. And I wasn't thinking of doing or adding anything extra, maybe just some paintings. And whoever comes in the house, it's like no one talks about the furnitures or the design. Everyone is just in awe about the light that comes in. And I notice it also in us, like we spend a lot of time here in the living room. My kids also spend a lot of time here. And that was for me the main thing, like thinking of me and my boys, they're like 12 and 9, and they're very active. I'm very active. I love dancing, singing, and they're the same. And so I just thought, like, this is what I want. I want to spend a lot of time with my kids, happy moments together, and we have the space. We're lucky to have, this space. And so I was like, I'm just going to leave the space as it is and just make our emotions part of the space. Because I know that sooner enough, the boys are going to grow and they're not going to want, to spend time with us that much. So I was like, it's here and now, this moment. I'm just going to fill it up with love and joy. And the house is just responding with that. I am much more, happy about my family, which, in the past, maybe because I was a new mom, everything was a bit more stressful. But now just noticing how we are flowing together with the space is just, magical. So again, these are the few projects that, I managed to finish. So this was, for example, a bathroom that we had to change. It wasn't in our plan, but, we had to do it. So this is the before and after. And for me, just having a bit of colors here and there, of course, I followed, the elements here, but not strictly. So that's what I'm saying. I had an idea of where what has to go, but in a way, I just went with my gut feeling, and it's all, working perfectly. These are the bedrooms downstairs. So the beauty of this house is it's upside down house. This is why in the living room we have like so many big windows. It's probably to see outside. So downstairs the bedrooms are a bit more darker, but not as much as you can see. I mean, here for the pictures I had to re-edit a bit to make them, more colorful so that you could see, but it still gets, a lot of light. And this is the bedroom that gets less sunlight. So this is why I did like this effect of the sun with the sun rays, yeah. And yeah, my son just loves it. And I see the effect on them. So even if it feels so colorful, I notice that they sleep well, they rest well, they spend time in the bedroom. So there's literally nothing wrong, or, you know, there's no obstacles that I need to, you know, take care of. This, for example, is my other son's bedroom. He likes purple mountains. He likes more cold, wintry things. And so I just delivered for him. And as I said, they spend time in these rooms. They sleep really well. I didn't want to go too crazy. I like minimal design. So for me, it's just 1-2 things that, you know, makes the space particular. This, for example, is our bedroom, and previously was like, you know, old style with all, you know, curtains, all decoration, all wardrobes. And again, I turn it into like a bit warmer with the color, but very minimal, just to have that space to feel only us. And as I said, for me, the important thing was like really putting the client first. Whatever we wanted to do, that's what I wanted to deliver. And I do notice that with my clients too. They think that when I come in, I'm just going to tell them, yeah, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to change. But I kind of open myself a lot with them, and vibration-wise, I try to match them so I can really understand what is their needs, because not always they tell you straight away. And then once you talk to them, you just realize what's really needed for them. And they don't realize that they have to do the work themselves. I'm just there to kind of match the two things, space and their needs. So yeah, as I say, I am much more into connecting with the client than putting, you know, the calculations first. And as I say, it just works for me and the clients and my family. I'm just a big observer and a lover of human connections. So yeah, thank you.
Monica, thank you so much. If you want to take your presentation down and then we can see you. I think, you know, the message very clearly coming through here is again, the nuance, the flexibility, the responding to the need. And in your case, as you were the client, the inner need. And it's interesting about that delay between, you know, moving on with your new ideas for your project. And the house I live in now, I rented next door. So, you know, 8 months after renting, I knew the light in the area. So when I moved in, I knew exactly what to do because I lived in the space, albeit next door. So if we have the opportunity to have that waiting time when we talk like your new project here, then we can do what's right for it. You know, work with nature, work with the light. And you know, there's a theme here. You talked about the light coming in, using that light. And that's lovely. So thank you. If you want to take your presentation down, stop sharing. That's it. That's lovely. So
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Not being rigid, but it's like learning to drive, isn't it? If you're worried about everything when you learn to drive and you get new information, and then you come to the point where you just do it. It becomes second nature, and then you can respond to what happens in the moment because all the basics are taken care of. So, yep. Thank you. Well done. That's beautiful. Thank you. That's great. So next presentation. I mean, do feel free to put your website in the chat. I forgot to tell that to other speakers. So moving on to our next presentation. We're going to your front page. Yeah, beautiful. Lovely. Well, our next presentation is Desiree Kradolfer. And I think Desiree is based in the Netherlands. Again, a well-seasoned Feng Shui practitioner who's recently become a member of the Feng Shui Society, our professional register. So welcome, Desiree, to presenting here for the first time to our community. Thank you. And Desiree's background, she's an experienced Feng Shui consultant and interior designer. Nearly 20 years of practice based in the Netherlands, and actually trained with Simon Brown, like Monica did. And we have today, you're talking about an ideal home design. So you have a case study to share with us, architectural Feng Shui. So yeah, we welcome you and invite you to sharing. You have about 20 minutes, so that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to speak to you today at this event, with such experienced Feng Shui specialists with their high inspiring stories. And it's wonderful that the Feng Shui Society also offers a platform for less experienced Feng Shui consultants. So I'm humble in this presence and delighted to give a short presentation on architectural Feng Shui. And I will start my presentation now. My name is Desiree Kradolfer, and I'm an interior designer from the Netherlands with over 18 years experience, creating meaningful spaces for both private and business clients. My personal chart is 353, which relates to wood and earth elements, and that is the energy of new beginnings, movement, and growth, grounded in balance and stability. And the same dynamic energy resonates with my work as a designer. I love initiating new ideas, creating momentum, and guiding transformation through space. I'm the founder of Miriam Interior Design Studio, which means a new beginning in Swedish. And I chose that name early in my career because it captures my design philosophy, creating spaces that incorporate the opportunity for renewal and growth. And my mission is to translate personal and business narratives into timeless interiors that support daily life and enhance well-being. So I recently completed my Feng Shui studies with Simon Brown at Chi Energy and became accredited by the Feng Shui Society, which is a great honor to me. And although I'm still at the beginning of my Feng Shui career, I applied some of its core principles for years in my design work by intuition, I noticed. So in my design practice, I combine classical Feng Shui with more modern Feng Shui, depending on what resonates with clients and what is suitable in that situation from my perspective. And I noticed that the experiential approach often acts as an entry point for me because it's tangible and it's easy to feel for clients. So when designing or building a home from the ground up, architectural Feng Shui forms the natural starting point. It looks at the relationship between the buildings, its surroundings, and the people who live there, beginning with the land, the orientation, and the architectural layout. And I used architectural Feng Shui as a combination of both classical principles and a modern evidence-informed approach that integrates more ancient spatial wisdom with contemporary architecture and design. And rather than being prescriptive, it offers a holistic framework that allows space for intuition and personal choice. So in this project, I mainly worked with the architecture itself, with the orientation, the light, the flow, and the materials to create spaces that feel balanced, supportive, and connected to both nature and human life. For this project, I used the following principles to have a framework for design. So sight and orientation, so harmony with the land, light, natural rhythm. Form and flow, so the balance between movement and stillness, the movement of chi within a space and around the building. And a flexible toolbox. So I work with some classical tools like form and flow, compass reading, yin yang, 5 animals, the elements in the direction, and combined it with some more modern and evidence-based techniques. And every Feng Shui professional can choose the tools that resonate most and feel most relevant to their way of working, of course. Feng Shui and health is included to enhance well-being, sunlight, air, natural ventilation, views on nature, biophilic design, natural non-toxic materials, and things like lighting, acoustics, images. And that is, as it is part of human-centered design, we use human connection and purpose to create spaces that reflect and support the people who live there and their goals and aspirations. Lastly, time and change. In my opinion, it's vital that spaces evolve as we do. So you can apply this, for instance, by using multi-use or adaptable spaces. As part of my course, I worked on a free format project to design my ideal home using architectural Feng Shui principles. And for this presentation, I have limited time, so I've included a selection from my whole presentation. And the task was to create a brief, find a location and a plot, and design a house and a garden guided by Feng Shui. And it was an opportunity to explore how Feng Shui can truly shape well-being through architectural design. The process started with the design brief, which combined both functional requirements and emotional aspirations. And that step was really important because it translated the client, in this case, it was me. Me and my partner, and I have 3 daughters, but 2 have moved out already years ago, and the final one is moving out on short notice. So it's more a home for both of us, and for also a family home when everyone is there. Looking at the functional requirements, the home had to combine living and working in one space. So bungalow with a separate studio in a rural, elevated and central location in the Netherlands. It needed to be ecological and partly self-sufficient, using natural materials, sustainable energy and water solutions. And emotionally, it was about creating a home that felt like a sanctuary, a place in harmony with nature that supported a mindful, slow-paced lifestyle. A nurturing, safe environment to recharge and connect with loved ones and live intentionally. And the studio, on the other hand, needed to feel inspiring and uplifting, and a space where creativity flows and the clients feel at ease. Oops. You can see the whole plan of requirements here, and I won't go through it because it's a little bit much. So this is the toolbox. Based on the brief, I worked step by step using the architectural Feng Shui toolbox in a holistic way. The combination made the process both structured and intuitive, evidence-based and human-centered. I chose a location called Lanteren. It's the geographical center of the Netherlands, on the edge of the Veluwe National Park. The chosen plot is a large plot part of an estate. And here you see an aerial photo of the plot. It's a rural, elevated and serene environment, ideal for balance, grounding and connection with nature. So it's already aligned with the brief in that matter. And the site immediately felt calm and protective. It's a perfect setting for a mindful, slow living lifestyle. And the plot originally contained several existing buildings. And for this project, I assumed the removal of these structures in order to design and place new buildings that better respond to the site's potential and the project design intentions. Here's the plot with the compass. Then I made a plot plan. You can see here, using the movement of the sun and 5 animals, and my analysis of the plot and the views when I was in place. I placed the buildings on the plot and tried several placements, and this is the end result. So you can see the home here. And here the small studio on the sides, formation of trees around it, a small pond on in front of the home, parking spaces, and the path to the home. And I will show you how I did it. I took the 5 animals principle to create a balanced relationship with the landscape. And it helps with placement of the buildings on the plot and the connection with their surroundings. So the phoenix on the front helps to see a way forward, contributing to a sense of vision, and the open space with the large outlook and the pond in front contributes to a good phoenix. The tree formation on the back forms a tortoise function, giving the home more stability and protection. And the house is situated in between higher trees and the studio on one side. And that's performs as a dragon. And the lower bushes and on the right side, like a tiger. So they're giving the property a more proactive, energizing chi on the one side and quieter, more protective chi on the other side. And together they form the backbone of the design. Then I looked at the sunlight. And we can... And looking at the sun rising from the east, activating energy and daily rhythm, and the west receives the warm afternoon sun, natural place for relaxation. And this can help later on with placement of windows and layout of the floor plan, where to place the spaces benefiting more of the yin and the yang energy. Then I used the 8 mansions for designing the path to the home and the entrance. The house is a water house and belongs to the East group, associated with health and growth. And the main entrance faces east, bringing in welcoming energy for vitality, learning and family. And the studio entrance faces southeast to south, enhancing stability, creativity, and success. And the natural wooden doors and large glass openings support positive growth. The home is a simple, here you see the home, a simple visualization of the home and the studio next to it. The home is a simple single-story bungalow designed for slow living. Open light and connected to the landscape. And when looking at the floor plan, the starting point is the brief. And I used the 8 directions to help determine the optimal placement of each space. You can see this here. In this design, the bedrooms are located on the side of the house that receives more shade, creating a calm and restful atmosphere. The master bedroom has large windows to maximize sunlight at the end of the day. And on the other hand, the more active, family-oriented living areas are placed in the front of the house with large windows. To maximize natural light of use and creating an uplifting and dynamic energy for daily use. And in the middle are the traffic spaces. So this is the entrance. And the atrium makes it able to walk around and connect several spaces. The central atrium with the glass roof brings daylight and plants into the heart of the home that symbolizes life and growth. And I've looked at the placement of the sitting and sleeping arrangement with form and flow in 5 directions. And in this project, I prioritized this above the Mingua directions because I also took this into account. But I also took this into account as much as possible. So here you see the layout with all the rooms. And this is a visualization of the center of the home with the atrium. A bright, open, and clear center allows the chi to circulate freely and supporting prosperity and positive energy throughout the home. And you can see the light come in. You can close the glass roof so the chi can also be contained. And it gives the the rooms, the bedrooms, who are more in the shades, a little bit sunlight from the center. So that's also nice as well. And then I looked at each zone supports the residents' well-being and their goals through the directions, elements, and applied solutions. I won't go through all of it because it's too much for now, but for instance, when we look at the kitchen, which is placed in the south, so it's here. It's an open space with a kitchen island and a part on the wall. It's a very young space with the element fire, and that's nice because it's a central family space where family comes together. But you have the stove there, which is also fire, sink that is water, and the taps and other supplies that are metal. So I used earth to connect these elements by using natural stone in the kitchen island, and also included the wood energy by using wooden floors and some plants, some large plants. So I integrated all 5 elements to have a more balanced energy in the space. And the plants in this space and also in the other spaces in the home play a vital role in supporting the parasympathetic nervous system, helping to reduce stress and promote relaxation. So the materials were chosen to enhance well-being and sustainability. So for the external use, I used wooden cladding. So this is Shukiban. It's a burnt Japanese wood, and wooden windows, sliding patio doors.
You've got 5 minutes, Desiree,
Yes.
to wrap up. Is that okay?
Yes, okay. And also a green roof for the home. For climate control, water management, or air quality improvements, and supporting biodiversity, and integrated solar panels, panel roof for the studio. And here you see some natural materials used in the home. The orchard and the kitchen garden further connect the home with nature in the rhythms of growth and self-sufficiency. There was also need for a studio, and you can see it here. It's facing to the south, bringing in a lot of fire energy, and the brief was designed as an inspiring, uplifting space, supporting growth and new ideas and welcoming customers. So that is wood and fire. So the light that comes in and on the south side supports this fire element, and lots of wood in the materials and big plants bring in the wood. And I've also used artwork for fire and for creating a more calm space to welcome customers, relaxing calm music and things like jasmine plants for some multisensory effect also adds to that. To this atmosphere. The studio has been designed with the principle of time and change in mind, allowing it to adapt to different uses over time. So, for example, this studio can also serve as a living space for studying children or accommodate aging parents, ensuring the home remains flexible and functional as family need to evolve. So you can see here that is doable. So I would like to conclude by saying, oops, sorry. I had some key findings, but I will leave it for now, maybe, because I have to wrap it up. But what is very important is that it's all about creating spaces that feel good to live in. And I try to do so with this project, Our Town. Thank you for your attention. And,
are there some key findings you want to share that's on the slide?
Well, I wanted to conclude with some takeaways. The narrative of interaction, the design sees the building as a living system. So creating a dialogue between the site, its occupants, and daily life. So you can translate human values into spatial form that support well-being. And the holistic approach I mentioned before. So combining the classical with evidence-based and biophilic design, so you can create spaces that are both beautiful and beneficial for health, focus and emotional balance, and function meets feeding. So by integrating the functional needs with the emotional aspirations, this can the resulting home perform sufficiently while it also resonates personally, supporting meaningful daily routines and goals.
Beautiful house. Is it finished or is it half finished?
No, it isn't finished yet, but we are looking for a place to do something like this. But this was just a project, and we had to create our ideal home. So it will be something like this in a rural area. It will be something for later on.
Beautiful. Do you want to pop your website in the chat, and then people have got that? Yes, Simon, you're Simon Brown's here. Welcome, Simon, this afternoon. And we've had two lovely presentations from people who've done study with you. And Simon was saying that it's a beautiful design and he likes it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you want to just take down your presentation, then we can see you, and then just see if there's anybody who wants to ask a question. We have a couple of minutes that we can see. We can do that. I'll come back again, and then we're going to move on. Spotlight for me. Yeah, does anybody want to ask a question? It was lovely, wasn't it? It's interesting that so many. We want to bring more light in. We want more space. We want more calmness. Whatever we can do, and certainly in England, a lot of Victorian houses and tiny terrace houses. It's a bit of a problem, but I think that there's an emerging and expanding human need as I think we're expanding within in humanity to have a space that reflects our potential to change as we go from, if you listen to a lot of the astrological projections, we're moving into being a crystalline being. We're moving into a new kind of human. In the Aquarian age, we're moving into a really fascinating time. I'm going to bring up Simon.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Desiree. That was really nice. I was just going to, it made me think, looking at both your and Monica's presentations, that often in Feng Shui we don't talk so much about aesthetics and the kind of look of things, but yet it's so important, I think, to how people view a home and are in it. And your record player kind of resonated with me because I love old records. But little touches like that can make a big difference to the person if that's what they're into. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Simon. Yes, and that's really true because I also like neuroaesthetics, so it's very important. What you see really has an impact on how you feel. So personal home is very important.
Yes, as you point out about this personal nature of the creation of a home, if we think now about medicine, it's highly personalized now. This is the way it's becoming, rather than one pill for that condition. We're looking at a pathway for an individual who's experiencing a problem. And we see that with diet. It used to be healthy eating, but it's not the same for everybody. So we're moving into this nuanced era. What's good for me to eat, to do, to live. And then, as we've heard this morning in the presentation, you know, the multicultural nature of things, the multi-generation, there's so many different needs in that one house. So we really are moving into an era of how can we create a home that satisfies all those needs. It's an interesting challenge for us to take on. Thank you. It is.
Thank you.
I'm just going to ask now, any more questions or comments? Because I'm going to put us into groups for a few minutes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Desiree. We're going to give you our Zoom applaud. Wave our hands in the air and say thank you. That was gorgeous. That's really great. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to, just for a second, invite up my co-hosts. If you can spotlight yourselves, Alexandra, Victoria, and Veronica. I can't find you on here to do that. Just to spotlight, Veronica. You've been creating this day. Just whether you have any reflection before we go into our groups, if you want to make a comment. Looking for Alexandra, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and spotlight. Yeah, Alexandra. If you could spotlight Victoria, or has she gone out on her?
I'm here, but
Okay.
I can't spotlight myself.
All right, I've had a spotlight, I've done that. Okay. Well, if you want to just add a reflection to the day, you put this lovely program together. We've had some excellent presentations. Maybe you want to just share something of your experience of today.
I would say we had a variety of speakers, all very interesting, all talking mostly about different things. We had practical cases, which I think everybody can learn from, and it's what Feng Shui is. We had more technical teaching cases, like the presentation by Master Edgar. And I learned a lot today. It was really nurturing for me, and the lovely Amanda with Feng Shui and intention. I really appreciated the fact that she mentioned empowerment through the words, and not to stick to these harsh words that actually make us stop right there and don't help us look at maybe challenging things into a more turning into empowerment rather than something that is fatal. So that was quite good. Yeah.
Maybe Veronica, thank you. Maybe you might want to say something you might be taking away from today.
What can I say? Well, I follow what Alexandra said, and I also like very much to see case study, because they give you the opportunity to see things that maybe you are not used to see, in their way. So I really thank all the speakers that gave us this opportunity to see their method of work.
Beautiful, thank you. And I just reiterate again that English spoken today is the minority language, I think, among all the participants. So thank you for that. Yeah. Yes, Victoria.
Yeah, I think everyone's probably mentioned everything. Firstly, thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to our host, Gina. You've been amazing, always bringing that glitter. And you look, Veronica and Alex, they've been fantastic behind the scenes to really structure the day, and, back and forth with all the speakers. It's been excellent. In terms of just today, key takeaways are, again, Feng Shui is not linear. There's so many different modalities from different ranges, and that's what our speakers have shown us today. We're not just stuck on one thing, and we can use it in so many different ways, which is fab, really. So we're just very lucky to bring a community here today and just to learn. I think that's great. So I'm going to pass on back to you, Gina.
Lovely, thank you. I'd like for us all to have I'm just going to just quickly change the spotlights for everybody. I'd like for us to go into rooms for 10-15 minutes before we close at 3, and for you to share with each other. I'm going to give you a couple of prompts, and we've got around 20 people. I'm going to put you in threes. I'll watch out to see if somebody's in a room where the other two don't show up for whatever reason. And in that, let's say 12 minutes, either to share as a Feng Shui person, perhaps with a lot of experience, how has your practice changed since you originally started with Feng Shui? Here we are in 2025. What have you seen changed for you? You might like to discuss your insights and takeaways from the day. So I'm just going to give you this community space. I think it's lovely for us to be able to share. So you all up for that? Hopefully, you're nodding. Okay, I'm going to put you into groups, breakout rooms. So I'm going to put you into 6 rooms. Let's just see how that works out. Welcome back from the breakout rooms. So as we come towards the end of our session today, does anybody want to share an insight that they had?
Yeah.
Christian, okay.
Yeah, I was paired with Suzanne Harper, who, we kind of started about the same time, in the network, as you know. And interestingly, we're both sort of sharing the same changes, which was the question, that we're both working a lot more remotely. In fact, I virtually only work remotely now. And that it is totally possible to tune in to DAOs, get the whole psychological, energetic framework, energy lines, portals, galactic, whatever, ghost stuff. You can do that in advance because you're just tuning into it through maps, through the information, through the voice of the people. And also that we don't just do a one-hit wonder session. Suzanne does 12 sessions, if I can just share what we both do. And I only do like 3, like 1 week apart. And that gives people time in between for processing and cooking, and also myself for getting more information. And that is incredibly valuable at every level. And I find we can go deeper and deeper with the clients. As I say, we've both been working. In fact, just the other day, I've just surpassed my 30 years of doing house whispering Feng Shui. So it's an anniversary, and God knows how many, 2,500 consults or something. But so that's quite a milestone. The other thing was to really engage families as much as possible. And there was one family we did as one of my academy group practices. And one of the things was that they had horrendous mold. And so I suggested play Mozart to the walls. I work with music and harmonics, as you know. And a few weeks later, and the family just came on, and I've actually got the video, which I can share at another time. And they said the mold is virtually gone.
Wow.
And the whole family, this was the point, the whole family engaged with it, the couple and the 2 children, and they were all so focused. And what had happened was, it's not the Mozart to the walls, but the Mozart to their inner world that was actually externalizing the toxic energy that was creating the mold. So they had played the music to themselves, reharmonized their inner landscape, and stopped externalizing the mold to physicalize in the 3D world. And I've done that a few times since, and it works every single time. But it's about the person. And so we're back to the whole, and that's where certainly I've gone much deeper with this work, in working with the psychology, the psychotherapy with people. We've heard a lot about all the amazing Feng Shui systems, which, I don't do anymore. I learned it with you in the 90s. But the psychotherapeutic aspect is like going deeper into people's inner world, into their ancestral, because the ancestral line is crucial with this work. And I often go back 6 generations to discover what happened then. And in fact, the other day I went to 8 generations back to discover what happened, which is creating the problem now. So this whole timeline linear doesn't exist. It's quantum entanglement stuff. So anyway, I'm going to stop there because, I can rattle on about this forever, but I don't know if Suzanne wants to add anything to that, but I think I've kind of covered what we talked about. Thank you.
Very, very comprehensive.
Gina, you are muted.
We can't hear you.
Oh, how did I get muted? Okay. Quantum entanglement and modern physics. Jan, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, so I was talking to Monica.
Let me spotlight you. If I can catch you a second, because you made a comment in the chat, adding a spotlight. Yeah.
Good for Christian. Yeah, that's a Nobel Prize winning idea. If it works, because obviously there's some frequency, it's definitely work on that, because obviously mold is a big problem and can cause all kinds of health issues. And even you know, sometimes you don't see the molds. So that's another thing. But I spoke to Monica, and she started her journey 15 years ago, and we sort of agreed in our kind of evaluation that we start with classical and all the formulaic principle, but now we move more towards personal-centered feng shui. So we start with the person, and the house kind of secondary, obviously important, and obviously bring as much evidence as possible, because what people want is really results, yeah. And some people want specific things, some people want astrology, some people don't want astrology. So depends. But hey, kind of main question was, how do you know what works? Because if you provide several interventions at the same time, you don't know what's working, how long it's going to work, and that's going to be always challenge. Yeah, but and also I mentioned my new idea about going beyond time and space. I placed the blog about that, and I think Simon commented, because basically we kind of stack in, that's the general observation, very quickly, one sentence. We stack in time and space, but now physics saying that maybe time and space is not fundamental, maybe there's something beyond. And from Feng Shui, from early heaven sequence, we know that we're talking about that space that is beyond time and space. So nobody has really explored that bit. So I start writing about, thinking about, and kind of trying to practice this as such. So I wrote that in a blog. I'll post it again. And so obviously it's a thought experiment and kind of really difficult because we are in time and space. So you have to start thinking in different ways. But if you follow what the science talking, and especially things from something called positive geometries, it might open new avenues for Feng Shui to develop and grow, as opposed to be still in this time-space framework, which is great, works. I'm not saying it's not working. Let's not throw the baby with the bath. But at the same time, things are moving forward. So that's my comment.
That's lovely. Maybe that's a subject we could have in a webinar. Maybe.
Sure, I could help. Definitely could explore that. Yeah,
it would be lovely. I think that would be a great conversation. Thank you for your contribution, Jan. Yes, because we're changing, humanity's changing, homes are changing, and what Feng Shui wisdom serves us and is enduring and remains the same. And where's the flexibility? Where is the change? Because we are definitely changing at a rate of knots in a very fast period of time. Coming back to gallery view to ask if anybody else wants to share something from their conversation that they had in their conversation groups.
Oh, I'll share. It was so wonderful to be with Veronica and Desiree, and I think. For me, I think what I learned, we learned all of these tools of Feng Shui, but we have to find the tool that works for us. And I think that's the most important thing that I've learned from Feng Shui in the past 20 years or more. But also for me personally, and I'm sure for each one of you, there is going to be some kind of life event that will alter your whole viewpoint. And for me, Feng Shui actually gave me the tools to come back to where I am. And in spite of being in the hospital for a couple of years, but still Feng Shui was my toolbox to kind of get me back to where I am. And so I'm very grateful for that. So that's all I just wanted to say. And it's so great to see everybody.
That's such a great insight, you know, because we all have these life events. Things happen, and what's our toolbox? And, you know, for me, the life event happening is I have parents in their 90s, one in a care home, one in their own home. So that's changed my life in looking at that. And with my mother with dementia, and it's rising massively in the world, how do I protect my own brain health? You know, I've really got to look at that, because I'm looking at my mum. Not that I will, on a genetic basis, follow her, but I can see in my own circle and community, and I'm sure there are people here today where, you know, we look at our elders and we see them diminishing, and we think, I've got to support them. How do I do that? And I've got to protect myself. You know, if someone is 20 to 30 years older, we have to look after ourselves. So yes, wellness and health changes at home, I have to say. Anyway, I'm going back to gallery view again. Anybody else want to share an insight? Anything that they found interesting in the conversation? Jan's put his blog link there.
Liz want to talk.
Liz, yeah, I've got you. Okay.
Hello. Just very briefly, it's coming up to 3, isn't it? I was talking to Felicity. Neither of us are Feng Shui consultants. Personally, I feel a bit of a fraud here, but I have a very long association with Feng Shui. And we both meditate. And of course, everything that's been said pretty much has resonated with me. And it is very much, if you were talking about, and I would love to attend a session on beyond time and space, because consciousness is beyond time and space. When you're present, you're present. And I learnt to do that up a mountain in Spain for 6 months, and priceless. Yeah. And Feng Shui involves, I use it a great deal as a professional gardener. And I'm very grateful to all of you. A lot of wisdom today. And thank you very much for everyone who's been
Thank you for
involved.
sharing that.
Thank you.
That 8 mountain area, that, you know, that area of that aspect and that area of contemplation, as much as we have that fire energy and, you know, our relationships out in the world, we need to come back to the cave. The whole house is a cave, or a place within the cave, to have that silence, that, you know, the yin and yang of like, yay, and then come back to the quiet. So that's great that you flagged that up. Thank you.
The other thing, can I just ask you, I'm in the middle of moving home, and I would like my new home feng shuied. So if somebody has any recommendations for a feng shui consultant around the Sheffield area, I'd be very grateful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, email in if you can't find someone who, but you've just heard the long distance nature of things, with a floor plan, Google Earth, technology, Zoom, iPhones. There's a lot can be done without anybody. Even if they lived within an hour and a half of you, they can do instantly. So, you know, choose from somebody here today, or go on the register on the website and see who you resonate with, or douse for it. But
thank you.
You're welcome. Right. Okay. Are there any final?
Sorry, Gina, can I add something for Liz, that if she wants, she can go into the website, the Feng Shui Society website, and you can choose according to the area where you live, if there is any consultant nearby.
Yeah, north. I think Carol's nearby, actually, being in Chesterfield, and she lives in Sheffield, so she's close, and Carol's been involved today. But Carol is here now, so there you go. There's a point of contact. I think, unless anybody's got any final comments, and I think we've really done well to get through what we've got through, and it'd be literally only 1 minute past the hour, 1 minute past 3. I think we've done really well. I think what I would just say at the end, we haven't really talked about AI. We've been looking to history and what impact that has in the future. And I think that's, as Christine was saying about doing a series of consultations, I think that's a series of consultations for a look at, learning about that, because it's one thing to ask a question like you would ask Google about your home, but to have a database of great wisdom from a book, a program, and to interrogate that, to save you flicking through the pages. We can access huge bodies of knowledge rather than just go out to the web. We can bring that in. So there's a lot that we can do with AI. And I think we're moving into an era of empowerment, which is what the ancient Chinese cultural Feng Shui started in the opposite. And the whole world is moving to our individuality. We talked about the individual in the home, the individual medicine, also, personal Feng Shui. So this era of empowerment and expansion, how will that affect things? There's a lot more openness. There's more secrets being exposed. There's a lot more, we can reach more people. We can do more. So we're more of ourselves, and that makes, that changes our relationship with home. And I think finally, this recognition of interconnectivity and aliveness, that home is alive. It's not just a building. And I think that is coming into consciousness. And if we work with people so they understand how alive their home is and how much they can change, I think it will nourish them more. But I've made 6 pages of notes here of things I'm going to do in my own home. And I'm going to take a screenshot. If everybody wants to smile, I'm going to do a screenshot. That's it. That is lovely. Oh, that's great. I've got a few shots of our group today. Well done, everybody. Thank you so much for everybody who arranged it, who participated and prepared your wonderful presentations, and who showed up today and part of this community. And I know it will ripple out. People will watch the recordings, and bless you all. What a great day. Thank you.